Journal party live, let's groove and vibe. Come on now. Pens on fire, thoughts taking flight. Together we shine, words intertwine. Get funky. Journal party live, it's journaling time.
All right, what's up, party people? Oh, why am I so small? Where's all the music? Hold on. Here we go. Let's get that new rockin' theme song going in the background while we wait for everybody to show up. Everyone say what's up in the chat. Let me know who's here. Got Deborah. So sweet, Adobe. Oh yeah, I heard you got your journal stolen. That's a real bummer. Nancy's here. What's up, Nancy? Adobe's wishing everybody happy 4th of July. Hence the tonight's theme. Pretty excited about it. Oh yeah, talking about the journal getting stolen here. Unfortunate, but I don't know what to say about that. I guess I'm always pretty guarded with my journals. I hide them, and actually, I keep like a written one inside of my iPad, and I can lock that, which is awesome. Let's get some other tunes on here. Charlenia, good evening. Got Ruth here from Dallas. What's up, Ruth? Misty's on YouTube tonight. Good evening. Awesome. We'll give everybody until about 5 after. You know, I didn't send out an email on this one because I just switched email providers for Journal Party, and so it's too much to figure out short notice. But I figured this one's gonna be light anyway because it's the night before 4th of July. People probably out doing barbecues and stuff. What's up, Misty? Got Mary in the house. Yeah, I love the new the new theme song. John and Laura. Awesome, you guys here together? That's pretty cool. Katrina from Northern Virginia. Cece's in Dallas. Happy 4th. Mary locks her journal in a locker. That's smart. Yeah, I have all of my old journals that I kept in like the little A5 notebooks. I have that all those in a locked trunk. Not that I don't trust my my fiance. I don't think she snoops, but do you get the same satisfaction on a digital journal in a paper? You know, I do, as long as I'm writing. I'm using my iPad as like a second monitor right now, but I have the little pencil, and so it's basically the same. Although there's something about pen and paper. I'm journaling on paper tonight. Julie says howdy from Frisco. All right. It's my fiance in my journal. Sometimes. Usually good stuff. But you know what? Like, not gonna lie, journals are a place where you work it all out. So, it's not all good. It's real. It's what's real. But I do find that even when I bring a grievance to my journal, that after a few pages, it's good stuff. So I love her dearly. Deidre says, hey everyone, checked in on YouTube for this session. Yeah, appreciate it. Like I said, I didn't send out the email today. My bad. Cece's about the pen and paper. Sarah says it's never good news if I have to journal about my husband. Oh, well, hopefully that's not totally true. All right, so who's new? Any newbies in the house? I think we might have mostly regulars tonight, which is cool. No one's going anywhere. That's good. 10 years. Congrats. Okay, so Nancy's new. Julie's second timer. Awesome. Okay. Ooh, Mary. That's a tough one. Getting cheated on. I know the feeling. It's not good. All right, so let's bring it back to center here. So Nancy's new. All right, so let me give you the rundown. Welcome to Journal Party Live. My name is Alex Gallner, and I'll be your host for this evening. Journal Party is a budding community of people who love to journal, and it's a ton of fun. We've got a podcast, we've got an app, we've got these live streams that we do, and actually soon we've got a little journal shop. I've been sourcing a ton of like really awesome looking journals for everybody to pick up on the cheap. Anyway, let me not plug that. Let me get into tonight's show. All right, so what you're seeing on this screen is it's the Journal Party app. So this is actually the desktop version. You can also download the app inside of the Apple App Store and Google Play. And it's pretty simple. As you can see here, it's meant to enhance your journal, not replace it. So you don't write into the app. You just open it up whenever you're journaling in one of these. And we've got all these really great programs. Click on the Programs tab here. Oh, this is the one for tonight. So this one I put in the free section because I like to do that for the holiday ones. But anyway, we've got tons of guided journaling programs in here. We've got the replays if you ever want to, dip out early and catch a replay or something like that. You can also stream these sessions through the app. Got the links to the podcast and all that. But the big thing inside of the app here is our Power Prompt playlist. And so as you can see, we've got different topics, different things you can kind of work through. And tonight's program is inspired by Independence Day coming up tomorrow. Happy Independence Day, everybody. And I thought we could celebrate our independence and our freedom through reflection and connection. And so I want to make it clear that this is not a political thing. This is not fully focused on the country's notions of freedom. It's a little bit more about personal freedom, although there's a little bit of a reference in there to 4th of July. So anyway, I think for tonight, what we're going to try to do is just reflect on what freedom and independence means to us. If you live in the good old US of A, you're afforded a freedom that a lot of people don't get. And it's pretty awesome. And, the other thing is that talking about personal freedom and independence, that's something that, hopefully you can control to some degree. Either way, it's a good idea to take a look at it. And, that's what we do here. We dive a little bit deeper into our own lives and our own minds, and we try to emerge with some insights. And so at the end, after we go through these 10 prompts, it's going to take us about 30 minutes to do that. After we go through the prompts, though, we will all talk about our insights or anything else that's going on in our lives. So it's super lax, super chill. I hope you can take from this whatever you need from it. And, there's no right or wrong way to do this. I think it's just have fun and be bold. I think hopefully your journal can be a place where you feel comfortable being brave. And not to say that this is going to be a heavy session or anything like that, but one piece of advice I would give is don't write this as if somebody's going to read it, except for you. This is more about getting it out onto the page and examining it for yourself. And if you're not putting your truth on the page, then when you examine it, and you're not getting the most out of it, right? So that said, I think tonight's going to be fun. So we got 10 really great prompts for you, and I'm going to get this party started. So I'll read the prompts and then kind of fade into the background, DJ a little bit, and then we'll all hang out at the end. Sound good? Good. All right. So open up that journal. Hopefully you got a glass of water or something. Favorite pen, and I'm going to hit the Start Now button, which you actually can't see here because of the little ticker. But I'm going to hit the Start Now button. It's going to count us down, and I'll read you your first prompt of the night. All right, first one. Define freedom. What does freedom mean to you? Describe a moment when you felt truly free. Next prompt is personal independence. Write about a time when you took a significant step towards independence. How did it change you? Little technical difficulties with the tunes. Bear with me, folks. There we go. All right, here comes your next one. Breaking free. Recall a situation where you broke free from something that was holding you back. What was it, and how did you overcome it? Next prompt, symbol of freedom. What object, place, or person symbolizes freedom for you? Explain why. All right. Your next one is the first taste. Describe the first time you experienced a sense of independence. How did it feel? All right. Free country. Write about a memorable Independence Day celebration. What made it special? And if you aren't American, write about what freedom means to your people. Here comes another one. Future freedom. What areas of your life do you still seek freedom in? How can you work toward achieving it? Next prompt is inspiring independence. Who inspires you with their independence? Write about their influence on you. freedom and responsibility. How do you balance the desire for freedom with the responsibilities you have? Give an example. Creating freedom. What actions can you take today to enhance your personal freedom? All right. I hope everyone did all right. I did pretty well with that one, minus trying to keep the music going. We're having a little bit of a glitchy playlist tonight, but it's pretty funky, so I'm not too mad at it. All right, so for anybody who's new, what we typically do after we emerge from our little journal jam session here is we try to reintegrate. Think about any insights that came up for you, anything that you want to share, anything that you need support in, anything that you want to celebrate with the tribe. This is our time. So, feel free to share whatever you like and we can talk about it. I usually start it off because it takes some time for people to type in, although I'm going to try to be a little more short-winded today because we've been going really long as more people show up and start to share, which is, I guess, cool. I'm glad everybody hangs around. It's definitely one of the best parts of this whole thing. I feel like I'm not loud compared to the music. Let me just dial it down there a little bit. All right. Get some new tunes on. All right. Oh, I see the comments pouring in. So you know what? I'm gonna let you guys start it off tonight. Let's see what we got here. Let me get on a full screen. Cool. All right. Okay, you did great. Thanks, Julie. Appreciate it. Darlene's Place. What's up, Darlene? Good to see you again. Hi, everyone. I was late, but glad I joined. Yeah, I'm glad you joined, too. And you know what? If you're ever late, you can always catch the replay. You won't hurt my feelings about it. I love how we're all kind of getting to know each other here. This is cool. I'm appreciating that you guys are talking to each other and it's not just me talking at people. It's awesome. Mary says, how I deal with relationships is a big one for me. Yeah, that came up for me a lot. I mean, there was a few things, right? Like, I think, I guess any area in your life where you have, significant responsibility, can be one where you may be trading off a little bit of your independence or a little bit of your freedom. That said, I think it's pretty good to take a look at it and see if we can be a little bit more intentional about it. When we go into autopilot and aren't paying attention to these things consciously, sometimes things can go off the rails a little bit. For me, though, I was thinking, like, when are times when I've felt really, really free, and I'm just thinking, like, when I've that feeling like right after you leave like a really bad relationship. I don't think I've ever felt more free than that. That was one that kind of came up for me. Leaving a bad job, that's another one where I've felt really free. I think it's like when you cut off the shackles of something that's like oppressive. It's like freedom. Yeah, I mean, fortunately, I'm in a really great relationship that I feel actually liberates me quite a bit. And so that was an interesting thing to journal about for me, because I think for the longest time I resisted getting serious with a partner just because I very much value my own personal freedom and, was a little reluctant to I guess, get so involved that I might have to relinquish some of that. But I think it's all about finding balance, and I think I've found it. So I hope you can find that as well, Mary, with your relationships. Let's see. Teacher says, I was thinking the same thing about how great the topic is. I'm glad you liked it. I always worry that you guys aren't gonna like what I put together, and then you guys are all so nice. I appreciate it. Makes me want to show up. Darlene says, balancing my independence is hard right now, but tonight I got some direction. Oh, that's good. Yeah, be nice to yourself in this process. I think, the first step is just, becoming aware of anything that you can change if you want to change anything at all. And, from that point of awareness, you can, take a look at whatever insights you've derived from your journal and make some good decisions. I made some. I think, I sort of have this like weird self-imposed, I guess, like limitation, or I don't know if that's the right word, but I think a lot of like my perception of like lack of independence or freedom is actually self-imposed. Like, um, particularly with work and things like that. I will I'll sometimes like burn the candle at both ends, when I don't really have to. And, one of the things that was good for me was kind of becoming aware of like when I'm in my own BS, like just kind of just telling myself lies or whatever it is, like just kind of these self-imposed guardrails. Whereas, I think intentionally speaking, I guess my goal is to feel completely liberated. And so if that's the case, then it would behoove me to stop stop being the one that's holding myself back. That's often the case with a lot of the journaling insights that I get. I'm just like, oh, you're the only one in your way. Julie says, yep, lots of relationship stuff. Finally getting some trauma stuff out. Good. Yeah, trauma is something we all deal with. Some of us have more. Some of us keep it stored in our bodies, and then react all sorts of different ways when somebody, brushes up against your trauma in a weird way. And I think, letting it go is the only way out. And so, if you're able to do that through the practice of journaling, then that's awesome. That's one of the biggest points of utility for me out of journaling, is just, being able to, like literally get it out of my head and onto the page and have it be something that's, separate from me. And then I can more effectively let it go. At least that's been my process. But, as with trauma and stuff like that, if you come up with anything that's a little bit more challenging in your journal, don't be afraid to bring it to the pros. That's also been just a monumental shift for me. I think I resisted therapy for the longest time just because I didn't want to be the sort of person who ought to have their head examined. I think Alan Watts put it that way once. But it really unlocked some massive gains for me, because, when I think the combination of therapy and journaling is awesome, because you can become aware of all these things, spend less time like churning and pontificating about it in therapy, and like actually just bring, some of these insights and work through it with someone. So, it sounds like, it's pretty hard to shake out trauma unless you've been brave in your journal. So, kudos to you, and I'm glad you got something out of it. Tasha says, hello, everyone. I forgot to say hello when I got in. Oh, and I forgot to turn off this little banner. Awesome. Thanks for reminding me. Okay. Well, got in late, but no worries. You can always catch the replay. And actually, this speaking of freedom and things that are free, this program is free. This one's not a premium program. I put it into the free section of the app. So if you want to go back and journal through this one at any time, you don't even have to pay for it. It's awesome. But glad you made it, Tasha. Charlenia says, for the first time in 24 years, I don't have a school-aged child. I definitely feel free. Wow. Okay, so that is awesome. I feel happy for you that you can, live your life for you. It must be challenging, but also rewarding, I guess. Living. I mean, how can you have kids without living for them, right? And I don't know if you got anything out of that prompt number 9, the freedom and responsibility one, but right, like if you have kids, I mean, you can't not show up for them, right? So it's I think you gotta weigh it all out. But now that it sounds like you've kind of done your part, and I'm happy for you. Get another taste of freedom. It's kind of challenging for me to read this because I've been on the fence with my fiance about whether or not we want to have kids, and there's part of me that's just like, freedom. No, don't do it. Like, you guys can go on vacation whenever you want or whatever. And then there's just that part of me that wants to have like a mini me and My fiance is gluten-free vegan, so part of the reason I want to have kids is just so I have somebody to share appetizers with. But I'm being silly. Yeah, well, I guess yeah, I don't know. You've given me some food for thought here, because one of my biggest points of resistance for having children is just I'm so afraid to relinquish a lot of the freedom that I enjoy. So I guess I'll have to think about it. Your joy about it gives me pause, but I'm sure it was rewarding being a parent as well. Mary says, I have a lot of massive trust issues due to bad relationships. For me, it was leaving an incredibly bad boss. Yeah. I mean, I was writing that down a little bit, right? Like there's certain themes that came up quite a bit. The relationship stuff, leaving a partner who's no good for you, leaving a job that's no good for you. I guess another thing that I kind of teased out in some of these prompts for myself was just, I guess, the notion that you could be liberated from bad habits, and sort of related to that, by cultivating like good habits, particularly around health and protecting your time. You can liberate yourself from a whole lot of stress, a whole lot of quite literally in health, right? If you don't take care of your health, like you won't really be free to do much of anything, right? So I was thinking about that quite a bit. Yeah, well, trust issues is a tough one. I feel you on that. Prior to meeting girl Alex, Alex is I call her girl Alex because I'm Alex too, and we're both named Alex, but that's my partner's name, and she's amazing, and has really, I think, it maybe took me finding like a really good partner to actually be okay about that, because I just had massive trust issues too, and I think she did as well. And I'm not sure if you were just referring to the thing with the bad boss, but health, wealth, relationships, those are like the big things, and I think those are like the three pillars, I think, to any sort of personal growth in your life. And if you can iron out the kinks in any of those, then you'll be much better off. So hopefully you shined a light on whatever it is that needed attention in your journal, and thanks for sharing. Mary says, I loved thinking about my personal freedoms, singing anywhere and everywhere. That's freedom. I feel you with that. For the longest time, I lived in apartments, and as you can see here, I built this little like recording studio for myself because I like to play music and I like to sing, and I would resist doing it because I didn't want my neighbors to hear or anything like that. And actually, I guess like true freedom would be like not caring, but at the same time, I think what's that saying? Like your freedom ends where some, I do this every time. I think of like some like well-known quote and I just completely butcher it. So someone's gonna have to help me out if you know what I'm even talking about. But like like my freedom ends where yours begins, something like that. I don't know. You can't encroach on anybody else's freedom. That's what I'm getting at. But what's the quote? Someone tell me. All right. Ooh, good one. Haven't thought about employment freedom. Yeah. I mean, I had a lot of thoughts about that. I mean, I've always worked for myself for the most part. Over the past 5 years, I've done a bit more like contracting and employment type of work. But one of, I guess the prompt where it was like, what's a symbol of freedom to you? I was just thinking how New York is a symbol of freedom to me, and not because it's like America, or anything like that. It's because just because that New York's a place where I basically laid the groundwork to even start working for myself. Back in 2008, I went up there to find a job, and I couldn't find it, and so I sat inside of the Flatiron building. There's a little bookstore down there. And I was just reading these books about, what to do when when your reality check bounces, and it sort of made me realize, like, okay, I, I I could have this freedom potentially, if I could find ways to, liberate myself from having to trade time for money. And that's, a huge one for a lot of people. It's really challenging to do. But I managed to do it for a while. I had I had a lot of luck with my first business, and was able to develop, quite a bit of passive income. And, that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for that time that I spent in New York. Subsequently, I made some mistakes in that business, and I had a few years where I just totally ate it. My 20s were, but great learning experience. And actually, I think I'm kind of back. So we're so back. I've heard people saying that lately. I like it. But yeah, I think that's a big one. It's not, not for everybody, the sense, the idea of like working for yourself, or, developing, passive income. I guess everyone ought to try to find income producing assets, things that make money, whether or not you show up. And that's, in my opinion, that's one of the best ways to, to liberate yourself, just because, if you don't have to show up anywhere, you can kind of do whatever you want, as long as you got, the resources. So you kind of complete that profile, and it's awesome. So, yeah, wish that for everybody. But at the same time, I think, some people find freedom in routine. So, maybe some people like clocking in and out every day. Not me though. I like to be on my own, doing my own thing. So yeah, employment freedom is a big one. Let's see, Mary and Alex, I see what both of you mean, and a lot of my freedom and independence seem to be centered on relationships. As a domestic violence survivor, the freedom was tough but deeply empowering. Yeah, well, I mean, we already, talked about this, but, thanks for the share. I always, I think every time we do this, we get, a couple vulnerable shares, and I just want to, take a moment to say, like, I respect that. I think it takes a lot of courage to, to put out a vulnerable share. And in your case, you're a survivor, and, you found a way to, come out of a very difficult situation, and experience freedom and empowerment. And so, I think if, your willingness to share that, is something that could liberate someone else, right? Talk about liberation, and if your story is able to help anyone achieve the independence or freedom that they're looking for in their lives, then not to say that you ought to have experienced any of that, those difficult situations, obviously not, but I really appreciate you sharing your own story, because I think it can help people. So yeah, I appreciate the share, Misty. That's awesome. CC was a middle school teacher for 30 years. I've been retired for 10 years. I feel free. Would I ride my bike every day? Music in my ear, wind in my hair. I'm young, free bird for a couple of hours. Great journal party. Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm surprised that didn't come up for me more in my journal. Just the idea of getting out there, and like you said, music in your ear, wind in your hair, and like I think that, like, we've all probably felt that, like, when you just feel like you're running free, and obviously your circumstances are a little bit different than everyone else's, and whatever led you there, but there's freedom is a feeling, I feel like, right? Like, whew, it's real good too. So I'm wishing that for everyone this 4th of July. Well, it's 3rd of July right now, but tomorrow and today, every day. Let's see. Deidre says, my moment realizing freedom took me back to 16, and the first time I went to visit a friend on my own. I realized the responsibility of driving, having fun while out, and getting back home on time. It sounds like you were responsible about it, so that's good. I you know, I didn't. I think I was pretty sheltered, like most of my growing up. Actually, no, I can kind of relate to what you're talking about because when I was in high school, around like 15, 16, 17, I guess. Um, I used to play in a band that was pretty popular in like my local area, and we used to go around and play shows and like then afterwards we'd go. I mean, we were good kids, so we didn't do we didn't drink or do drugs or anything, but like we would we would like go to Taco Bell and just be idiots. And I did feel super free with that. And then I would get back home after we like pack up our gear and everything, and my mom always gave me hell for it. So hold on, something's going on with the music. There we go. Get that theme song rocking. I'm gonna try to turn it down a little. Anyway, yeah. What the one that I had for my first like taste of freedom was actually I remember it like is yesterday when my parents brought me to college, and they they dropped me off, like helped me bring my boxes in and stuff, and I was just sitting there, like I saw them drive away, and that was like a little taste of it. And then like as I was unpacking it, just like really set in on me that like, okay, this is like the first time you were out there alone and on your own, like where I didn't have to go back home, and had some time and space to really figure out who I was and who I wanted to be. Not that I figured that out in college. I don't think anyone does, but it was probably the first time that I was able to, like, without something just kind of I guess I don't want to say lording over me, but like something I guess responsibility to answer to someone else and kind of conform to their own things. Like that was like a really powerful moment for me, and I think I really came into my own through that experience. So even though I sort of like, I don't know, I have mixed feelings about college because obviously college is expensive, and I mean, I went to school for marketing, which I use, but like, I'll be honest, everything that I learned in school for marketing was like completely obsolete the second I graduated. I mean, just think about this, right? I graduated in 2008, and the iPhone came out in 2007, right? And then over the next couple years, totally just transformed the world, just changed everything, right? Like we all went from the little flip phones to like having a computer in our hands and like just being connected in a much different way. And so obviously the way that you would reach people in marketing totally changed. But yeah, I don't know how I got on that tangent. Oh, I was talking about college. All right. Let's keep it moving. All right. Centered on relationships for me. Yeah, it's a big one. Tasha says, I have to say my nieces inspire me by their independence, ages 21 and 22. Both attend school online, work full-time jobs, have their own apartment, have their own car. It's victory because they were very challenging as teenagers. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I think, excuse me, a little burp. I think hopefully everybody comes into their own, and it's always like a pleasure to see when the wild ones kind of get into gear. My brother is kind of a wild one. My little brother, he it's been interesting watching him kind of come into his own and become like a responsible adult male. Which, its own set of challenges, right? Dudes are not always doing so great in that department, but anyway, yeah, it's good to take notice of the people who inspire you, and hopefully can rub off on you a little bit. I've got a buddy who just instantly came to mind for me on that prompt. My buddy Sulak, if you're out there. I've always admired his I've always admired his sense of independence. Here's a dude who just marches to the beat of his own drum, knows who he is and what he's about, and is uncompromising in in I guess his own independence, which you know I think there's a little bit of trade-offs, right? Like he one of the things that I could never live his lifestyle just because um I mean literally just because I'm in a relationship with somebody, and that's not that it's not a bad thing, but um I think in order to have all the benefits of relationship, once you're in relationship with somebody, it's whether or not it's romantic, just any sort of relationship, you have to, I think, be mindful and considerate of the other person's experience, not to say that you should be a people pleaser about it, but and that's one of my own personal struggles, but yeah, I think there is something to be said about a trade-off, and as I was kind of saying earlier, it's really special when you find when you find relationships that actually liberate you, as opposed to putting you in a box or anything like that. Cece says, I feel free every day when I ride my bike. I should get a bike. We have bikes and I don't ride them. I'm afraid someone's going to steal it here in Los Angeles. And we actually live in like the hilly section, so I'd probably you hear these self-imposed limitations. I'm trying to convince myself not to have a good time. This is silly. I should get on that bike. But Cece says this 60-year-old becomes a young free bird for a couple of hours every day. That's awesome. Deborah says, I've been in therapy a few times in my life and it was very helpful. Yeah, not to say everybody needs it all the time, but I don't think there's any shame in getting help when you need it. It's and as much as it's great for you, like, I mean, I would hope that I've often thought about like maybe even becoming a therapist, just because like it's got to be so rewarding to help people like that, and to liberate them from their own head garbage. Obviously there's challenging things that will be tough and may not get worked through, but a lot of like the negative experiences that we have in our lives are self-inflicted, just because we're telling ourselves some story that's not true, or having our trauma affect us in a way that makes us be mean to ourselves or other people. And it's always good to get some additional perspective and iron it all out. Katrina says, I can't imagine my life without my monthly therapy appointments and my nightly journaling. Yeah, so you get it. Sounds like you got a good practice. Let's see. Sarah has a 1 and 3-year-old and they're my life, but hot dang, do I miss living alone in my cute little apartment and showering. Yeah, my fiance is probably watching this, but every now and then I do miss my little, like, I mean, we have a beautiful home now, but every now and then I kind of miss my little apartment and like just having like absolute power over it. I'm good though. I've got my own den that I can do whatever I want with. So I sit in there and be a stinky man while she, takes care of the rest of the house and is better to me than I deserve. Alex, love you. Tasha says, that's awesome. I'm going to get a bike next year. I'm 50. Look at that. We should have a bike party. They do that here in LA. Like there's like bike clubs, and it's kind of annoying, to be honest, because like there'll be like 50 of them and they'll like be going down Sunset Boulevard, and like you're just trying to go somewhere and you can't because they're being all crazy. But I'm being a curmudgeon. I think it'd be fun if we did it. Charlinia says, my last child graduated in May. I like not having to buy school supplies, meetings with teachers, etc., but kids are a blessing. Yeah, it's interesting because like you give up a little bit of freedom, but you unlock certain benefits from it, and I think it's up to each individual to decide what kind of experience they want to have. And I think that's true independence and true freedom, is being able to choose. I say that, and right as I say that, I'm thinking like, well, some people, I'll bet most most pregnancies probably aren't planned. And so, maybe they aren't always choosing that situation, but that's not to say it can't be liberating. Katrina, I love this plan of monthly therapy and consistent journaling. Thank you for the inspiration. Yeah. Darlene says, I am retired, but my husband is still working, and it is messing with my freedom because I have to stop for him. I'm trying to understand the last part of that. So you have to stop for him. Oh, I think I understand what you're saying. Like, so like if he wasn't still working, like you would be able to be free together, maybe. I think that's what you're getting at. I'm not totally sure, to be honest. Tasha says, I just wanted to say, Alex, I think you'd make a great dad. Oh, thank you. You have a calm and loving demeanor. Thanks. I've been getting really emotional about this lately. I had a great dad. I lost him in 2015, and I just miss him so dearly. And I remember, like one of the last things that he, mentioned to me on his way out, like the only thing that he regretted was not being able to see us grow up and have kids and stuff and have families. And, I didn't think that was in the cards for me for a long time. So I didn't really, have to deal with that thought. But, now that I'm in a loving relationship and like maybe we do want to have kids, we're definitely getting married next year, right? So, I just miss him so much, but like, and I mean, it's just personal tragedy that like if I did have a kid, like my dad wouldn't be able to hold him. Like he was such a good dad, he just deserved to have, cute little grandbabies in his life or whatever. And if he was here, I'd totally 100% have kids. But yeah, I think that just seeing how he was kind of makes me want to be that good for somebody else, right? Like if he was that, he meant so much to me, like to mean that much to someone else is I don't know, it's an interesting thing. It's probably pretty meaningful. Having a baby gives me the freedom to once again see the wonderment of the world. I love seeing the world through my little girl's eyes. Yeah, that's an interesting share. I have a buddy who puts it that way often. He's always calling me like, oh, dude, you gotta have kids. And he keeps churning them out. Like, dude, busy. But I think, it gave him a lot of purpose. And also he's like, dude, the best thing is like, I just put a blanket out in the yard and, sit with her. We have a picnic and I get to watch her just discovering things. And I think that's kind of a neat thing. Getting to rediscover the joys of the world, and to guide the experience of another after having, had your own experience. Hopefully we can, continue to improve the generations to come. But yeah, I get what you're saying about that, for sure. Let's see. Misty's got a little love for Darlene. Men too. Okay. All right. Working for yourself is an amazing form of freedom. Yeah and no. I mean, I work for myself, or I always have. And, there's been times where I've been able to develop like systems and processes that allowed me to like have that sort of freedom. I guess, not having to answer to somebody else is just, at least always preferential for me. But I think I sort of get into the trap where like I'm my own oppressor. I'm like, you are worthless unless you're working all day. Like I'm a mean boss to myself sometimes. And yeah, so I guess going back to these self-inflicted wounds here, I don't know how they call that a wound, but this just the self-inflicted taking away of my own personal freedom is something I need to address. I need to give myself permission to cut myself some slack. All right. Teacher says, Mary Kay, I love this opportunity for you and your little one. I miss that time. Oh, okay. Mary likes being self-employed. Charlene says, me too. Let's see. Darlene, being free from work is the most liberating and freeing thing ever. I have been retired 4 years and loving it. Oh, good for you. That's awesome. Yeah. You know, I I got into a little bit of trouble in my 20s because I started living like I was retired after I built this business and hired it all out, and I was like, I made it. I'm done. I probably should have had the wisdom to plan a little bit more and make sure that lasted, because I had to work extra hard on the back half of my 20s. But yeah, retirement, I guess I'm maybe ways away from it, but um, I'm trying to engineer like an early retirement. Like my goal would be to just be able to, like, you know what I want? I want to have like a little journal shop on the beach, sell journals, have my wife sell coffee or something like that. Look at the waves, invite people to come hang out, like talk to passersby, like have a dog just chilling there. That sounds like the life for me. Like, even if I'm not totally retired, like, I don't know that I could ever stop doing stuff. Like I'm curious, like how you handle that. Like, I feel like even if I like gave myself permission to retire, I would still be working on projects. But maybe I'd feel a different way in a different season of life. So I don't know. But yeah, well, happy you're loving it. Teacher says, I have several more years to work, but I'm making a plan for that time. Good. Yeah, planning. I think, yeah, retiring is one of those things where, yeah, it's good. It's good to plan it. And you know, my generation is kind of crazy with retirement, to be honest. Like, I don't know that all my friends are like even thinking about it. It's kind of hard, right? Like, because a lot of us can't even get into houses and stuff with the way everything is these days. But yeah, I think I think that's something that's sort of been lost on my generation, is like even planning for retirement. We're just trying to get through the next the next day. Let's see. Misty, I too am a survivor and experienced the freedom when I was able to leave. I now try to help women who are trying to leave violent situations and help them to create their own lives. Well, that's great. I wonder if maybe there's like a journaling program we could make for that. I always want to be careful because my biggest fear is leading anyone astray, right? I'm not a therapist or a mental health professional. So whenever I like dig into more heady or like challenging topics, I should say, I try to make sure that they're written on good authority. So I'll ask actual therapists to sign off on it or whatever. But you two are coming from experience with this, and so I mean, if you're open to it, DM me, because I think maybe we could put together like a little program that would be helpful for people. And because it's not unfortunately it's like domestic violence, I don't think is going away, and it's something that's real. And now that we're like starting to pay attention to it, I think it would be a nice thing for the people who have come out of it, especially since you're saying you already help people in those situations. If you're willing, I would love to, help serve those people in need. I mean, one of the biggest things for me with Journal Party is, service is a pretty important part of life for me. And so, I've built this platform that's, pretty easy to crank out these programs. And so if you guys want to chat about that, let me know. And no pressure if not. Darlene says, I have not been on a bike since I was in my 20s and I'm now 62. I loved riding a bike. Yeah, I haven't been on one in a while either. Yes, if he was retired, we could do things. Okay, thanks for the clarification, Darlene. Yeah. I think I wonder if my fiance feels that way, because not that she's retired, but I think she's got a little bit more of a lax situation than me. And I like I said, I'm a mean boss to myself, and I think sometimes she just wants to hang out. I should probably do that. Oh, June just got here. Well, welcome. Well, I guess that was 7 minutes ago. So welcome 7 minutes ago. Glad you made it. Tasha. Oh, well, thank you for sharing that, Alex. You're very welcome. I'm happy to share. Don't think so deeply about having kids, Alex. When the time is right, it you both will know it, and you'll be a great dad. We'll see. We'll see about that. I swear I change my mind every other day. I'm driving my fiance nuts, but we'll figure it out. You're right. I probably shouldn't fret about it. We've got plenty of things to think about, and stress about. Well, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't like create stress for myself by speaking it into existence. But got plenty of things to consider before that. Gotta get married, go on this honeymoon first, and then maybe get out of LA. I don't think I would want to have kids here in Los Angeles. Maybe move to somewhere a little more family friendly. June says I need to get back to working for myself. Yeah, it's awesome. Alex, I will DM you before the end of this weekend. Yes. Awesome, Katrina. Owned a pet sitting business. I wonder if I could start a journaling program of pets that have passed on. Yeah, we get a lot of requests about doing like grief journaling. And, like I said, I want to make sure that anything that we're putting out there is written on good authority. But, gosh, I had a real rough loss of two pets, but one in particular, like right after COVID hit, we were like in lockdowns. And I had just moved in with my fiance. Funny story. I was actually living in London, and I thought that I was going to be there indefinitely. And then when COVID hit, the government was like, yeah, you better come home. Otherwise you risk getting stuck there indefinitely. And I had completely gotten rid of like all of my, like my apartment, my car, like everything I had in the States was done. Unfortunately, my fiance was like, you can live in my house. So, yeah, she had, these two dogs. One was a Frenchie and another one was a lab. And me and the Frenchie just like he was my buddy. He was like my dude. And he, I used to work in like this back house. Like I had a little office in there, and he would come up, say hi to me, do his thing. And then he talk about independence. This dog was an independent dog. But yeah, unfortunately, it's a crazy thing. Like I didn't even think anything was wrong with him. And we brought him into the vet for something that was like, just not even, I don't know. I thought it was like totally routine, and like was happy to go pick him up, but he was like all woozy, and like there was just something wrong. I still don't know what happened. Like, I think, maybe I don't know. I kind of feel like they gave him the wrong shot or something like that. But yeah, poor guy died in my arms in the car. Like, sorry for that share. I know that's pretty heavy, but it's like my best buddy, and really, really tough. Okay, June says you wrote a book on it. Okay, well, if you wrote a book on it, then you've already probably done a lot of the homework for that. So feel free to hit me up. I'd be happy to put together a program for this. Because yeah, that was a really tough time for me. I mean, on top of like everything that was already tough, right? COVID was tough for a lot of people. But yeah, I mean, grief for me is, I'm no stranger to it. And I want to be careful to only speak from my personal experience, but I feel like on one hand, it's like the worst feeling in the world to lose someone that you love. On the other hand, if you have a little bit of like awareness about it, and you're willing to sit with your grief and like look at it and feel the feelings, obviously please get help if like you are going through something difficult. But for me, like whenever I like accept what is, even if I don't like it, particularly in the case of loss, there's like this other side of the coin, which is, for me to be feeling this way, I have loved so much. And, even though like gosh, like I miss my little dude so much. But like just the gift of being able to have loved so much in the first place, and to have had that experience. I mean, like that's the only reason you feel such grief. Right. So, it's tough. It's really bittersweet, but I try to look at it that way, and just and think like, well, how lucky am I to have been able to love that much at all. All right, let's bring it into something a little lighter. You are both brave, so brave and truly free because you're able to share your experience openly. Wish all the best for both of you. Yeah, thanks for those shares, and I'm really looking forward to connecting with you and also you too, June. Because I think journaling is it can I if you're brave, like, you can really cut to the core of stuff. It helps you sort everything out. Like, it's really hard without journaling, and you've got all these thoughts floating around in your head. Like, it's really hard to sort things out, especially if you've got a lot going on, if you've got a lot of responsibilities, if you're just I don't know, I'm a like hyperactive thinker, like just thoughts, and like it's only when I actually get it out on the page that, like, it kind of feels like when your computer's going slow and you realize you have like 30 tabs open in your browser, and you shut it off, and then like everything starts speeding up again and working the way it should. Like, that's how I feel about journaling, is like you can kind of just like clear your mental cache, and free up all these computer metaphors, like free up your mental RAM. And from there, I think you have the ability to do some really great work for yourself. It the mind is an amazing thing. It can also be a total a-hole. At least mine can. Like, my mind can be really mean to me, but I think that only really happens when you're kind of on your own thing, and you're not fully conscious. And I think when you actually look at everything in the now and experience it for what it is, like, truthfully and honestly, like, you may feel a certain way about it, but like, I think once you've had the thought, then like you kind of stop the thinking process, and it kind of goes into like a feeling process, from which, like, out of that can come, I think, healthier thoughts. At least that's been my experience. So let me know if you resonate with that. And if not, share your experience. I think the coolest thing about this is that we get to all kind of, share our experiences. We've all had probably interesting lives, and, as the type of people who are willing to sit down and work on ourselves. Like, that's what this is. Like, I mean, I journal for fun sometimes, but like, I think a lot of what we do here is work, and it's the kind of work that when you do it, everyone is better off for it. And so I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate everybody for showing up and being willing to do this kind of work for yourself. And, if there's any way at all that I can support you in that process, please don't be shy. Let me know. This has been such a great, a great experience and passion that's evolved for me, not just journaling, but actually sharing it. Like, I think I said this on the last one. I've recently, done some thinking about my own personal values. And I think one of the biggest ones is, not only creating, but actually creating things that other people will enjoy, and sharing that joy. Shared joy is what really drives me. And so, I think if we can work together to, liberate ourselves from all of our head garbage and everything that we've got going on, underneath all of that is something really beautiful and really awesome to share with everybody. And so just thank you so much for sharing this with me. Thanks so much for journaling with me. We're getting close to 7:30 Pacific time here, so it's getting late, and I think we're all out of shares. Darlene liked it. Appreciate it. So everyone, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I hope to see you on the next one. Well, let me know if you got any ideas for all of this stuff, and let this not just be my party, but also your party. And in the spirit of having a party, I hope you guys party tomorrow, and have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your week, and as always, party on.